I am a person who appreciates honest feedback. It is something that is very, very important for you to make right decisions. From the get-go, you were very honest with me, and you were very, very blunt about the kind of opportunities that I can have, or the kind of opportunities that I need to exploit in order to make the switch to the kind of career that I'm looking at. And I also remember that at that time I wasn't very clear on the kind of career that I wanted to have after graduating. You were very clear that I should probably go back and do a lot more research on the kind of progression that I can look at when I graduate from an MIM versus when I graduate from an MBA.
Hi everyone, this is Piyush Ranjan. I'm the founder and chief consultant of Management Masters. We are a boutique admissions consulting firm for the top MBA and MIM programs in the world. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Shashwat Sinha, and he secured an admit to the LBS MIM program, which is one of the top 5 MIM programs around the world. So without further ado, let's directly talk to Shashwat. Welcome, Shashwat. It's incredible to have you here. Could you just give a brief background about yourself and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi, Piyush. Thank you for having me here. A little bit about myself before we begin. I am a material science dual degree holder from IIT Varanasi, and I am currently working as a senior strategy analyst at JP Morgan Chase. I support their risk management vertical. And as Piyush mentioned, I'll also be joining the London Business School for their MIM program this fall.
Thank you so much, Shashwat. Before we go into the details of your MIM journey and how you went about it, could you just give us a brief background of like what sort of career did you have and what sort of work were you doing before you decided to move ahead with the MIM?
Sure. It's interesting to note that when I was in college, I was geared towards going into the scientific line. I had done a lot of research internships because I was in the material science domain. I was doing a lot of research internships where I was working on a lot of cutting edge technologies, and during one of my internships, I had a very unique experience where I got exposed to the world of finance as well. And therefore, during my final year of graduation, I decided to sit for the placements and look at risk management and the opportunities available in that field. That's how I ended up joining JP Morgan. At JP Morgan, I'm mostly focused on analyzing credit risk. By credit risk, we mean any risk that is associated with a loan that we give to our consumers. I'm not looking at clients. I'm not looking at institutional clients. I'm just looking at consumer loans, and I'm associated with risk segmentation and risk assessment. So this has been my journey during college and after college, and it's a culmination of these that sort of pushed me towards going for higher education.
So again, that's great that you shared, but could you just help us understand like what really motivated you to go for an MIM right now? Because you're already working in a financial field, you're already working with one of the best known names in the world, right? JP Morgan Chase. So what really pushed you to go for this master's in management at this point of time?
Sure. As I mentioned, I due to an experience when I was interning at Northwestern University, I had an experience where I saw that I had been working on renewable energy technology, and I wanted to go into renewable energy technology in depth. But then I realized that a lot of the problems with this particular field is associated with the financing, and therefore and the risk management that goes into it. And therefore, I wanted to pivot towards risk management, and I came to JP Morgan. When I came here, I realized that although I had a sufficient exposure to risk management, I also needed other skills to sort of make a way towards my long-term goal of being in a position where I can look at renewable energy in a very holistic manner and help out with the financials. So that is when I decided that I needed to pursue a MIM degree, because it would help me in not only building that skill base, as in I'll be able to take up so many courses in private equity, in investment management, in investment banking, corporate finance. Not only build the skill base, but also connect me to the right kind of people. Because London Business School has a very extensive network, especially in the world of finance. I would be able to interact with a lot of people, a lot of industry stalwarts from across the globe, and I feel that it would be a very, very interesting experience. And moreover, it would take me a step closer to achieving my long-term goals. And I think that's the reason why I decided to pursue an MIM in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. But there's always this raging debate around MIM versus MBA programs and things like this, right? So why? So basically, you had 1 year of experience. You decided to go for an MIM program, which makes absolute sense. But then, why did you not decide to, let's say, wait for another year or two and then decide, then try and apply to the MBA programs around the world? So, was there a particular reason why you did not do that?
So yeah, there was this dilemma, and I clearly remember coming to you, Piyush, to talk to you about it. And I think out of that discussion, a sort of clarity that came out was that yes, there is a definite, like, the MBA is also a definite pathway to, you know, it could also fit into my career journey. But I think through that discussion, we came to understand that I wanted to pivot right away. I didn't want to wait for long, because uh, what we understood was that once you are in an industry for a long time, you gain expertise, become a subject matter expert in that particular field, and therefore it becomes very difficult for you. It becomes relatively difficult for you to switch from one background to the other. With the MIM, it's a degree which is very well positioned in the way that it allows you to leverage your previous experience, which is not a lot, and use it to switch towards something that you would want to do in the future. And I think that is one of the primary reasons why I chose MIM. Why I chose to pursue the MIM over an MBA.
That makes sense. Thank you for so much for sharing that. Uh, so obviously, once you've decided that you want to go for an MIM, you've decided that you would, apply to some of the top schools around the world. How did you start working towards it? Could you give us an idea about that? Because usually the first step where a lot of people get stuck or face a major problem with is, for example, with their GMAT or GRE preparation, right? So how did you go about your GRE prep? What kind of scores were you targeting? Or would you have any suggestions for candidates who are looking to apply to top MIM programs and how they should go about it?
Sure. So before I had met you, I already had a GRE score, but I always felt like it wasn't enough. So earlier I had a 326 out of 340, and through our discussions, we came to understand that although a 326 was a very competitive score, but a 330 or anything more than a 330 would really not make it a point of concern. So a GRE score which is above 330 would never be a point of concern. And this is the idea that I had in mind while retaking GRE. So I retook GRE and I got a score of 332. And I feel that after that point, I was pretty confident that I will not be I will like I will not be dinged because I had a lower GRE.
Yeah.
So that is something that I think that confidence really helps while applying. And I think moving on, once I had a good score, I think we connected and we decided on a timeline that we wanted to set for doing the research for the kind of schools that I wanted to apply to, and moreover approaching the application process in a holistic manner. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, for the GRE question, anything above 330 plus would land you in a very comfortable spot, and you'll never have that in the back of your head that, hey, maybe I didn't get selected because I had a lower GRE.
Yeah, but would you also, be able to give some tips for candidates who are preparing for GRE or GMAT or any sort of like competitive test that they might have to take, right? So anything that you can suggest for aspirants, how they could do it in the best possible way, or maybe what worked best for you in order to increase your score?
Sure. So, I'm afraid I sound like a broken record here, but it's really about understanding. So, for me personally, I had scored lower on my verbal, and my quant was very good, but my verbal was a little low, and that's why I couldn't touch the 330 mark. So I worked a lot on my verbal. I did a lot of exercises, and I think what really worked for me was taking a lot of mock tests. I took around 7 mock tests before I actually gave the main test. So I was mentally very well prepared to sit for the entire duration and actually be focused. So again, I think this is not something new. I think most people know about it, but it works. Like I think some strategies work regardless of whether they are novel or not.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So moving ahead from this, and you mentioned that very clearly, right? So once you had the score, once you had your story sort of set, and you had a very clear idea about why do you really want to go for an MIM, right, or a master's program. How did you decide, like, which programs did you want to apply to, or which schools did you want to apply to? Could you tell us a bit about that, the decision making process about, how did you select your B schools and the kind of programs that you wanted to apply to?
Sure, sure. So after we had come to a conclusion about, and we had some clarity about the kind of career that I was looking to go into after graduating from the B school. Yes, the process of selection of the school became a little easier because now I only had to look at, what kind of schools gave me the best opportunities right off the bat when it came to landing in the finance, in finance. When it came to the MIM programs, the London Business School was a clear choice. But moreover, I had also applied to HEC Paris because, again, I had talked to a lot of people, especially seniors from IIT Varanasi itself, who had graduated from that school and were working in the target sectors that I was aiming for. So it gave me a lot of confidence that yes, maybe the choice of the school would be right for me. I and While selecting schools, we were also able to diversify the kind of degrees that we were applying for. So we applied to MIMs, and we also ended up applying to Masters in Finance. And that again was because I wanted to specialize in finance, and I thought that certain programs across the world gave me a holistic, uh, gave me a holistic outlook, would give me a holistic outlook of finance. There again, a Masters in Finance, a combined a combined application for masters in management and masters in finance would is a slightly unusual, I feel. But I think uh, the the selection the selection integrally depends on the kind of roles that you're looking for after graduation, and moreover the kind of alumni base that the school can offer you. Yes, a lot of schools can offer you a lot of different courses, a lot of different skills can be built through the kind of courses that the school offers. But at the end of the day, you won't be able to talk to alumni in your target sector. You won't be able to understand what really goes on, and you want to be able to understand what kind of opportunities are available. And therefore, knowing your career goals and then approaching school selection according to that, uh, in my opinion, is something that worked for me. And uh, I think that is one of the better ways to go about selecting schools.
So could you just give us an idea of, like, what sort of results did you receive from all the different programs that you applied to?
Sure. So uh, I had applied to 6 different programs during my attachment with you, and thankfully we received interview invites from 5 programs. I still haven't heard back from the Masters in Finance at St. Gallen. I don't know, but uh, apart from that, we received interview invites from HSC MIM, London Business School, MIT Sloan Masters in Finance, Princeton Masters in Finance, and Oxford Masters in Financial Engineering. Yeah.
It
So
sounds really nice. And this brings me to the next question. The reason why I wanted to bring this up was, the kind of essays and the kind of application that all these different programs have, right? So MIT Masters in Finance, or Princeton Masters in Finance, or the London Business School MIM program, right? They are completely different essays. They are completely different sort of values that these schools have. The completely different asks in the application, right? So how did you ensure that you were able to portray yourself in the best possible way, which could earn you an interview invite from all these schools? Could you tell us a bit about that?
sure, sure. So I clearly remember that one of the first things that we did while researching about the school. So I'd just like to take a step back and talk about the process. So once we set the timeline, we do the research, like we do the research on what kind of schools we want to apply. Then we go into researching about the schools and understanding what the school is all about. And I think it was that point where we talked about the kind of key qualities that we should research on when we are looking at a school and the kind of degree that we're applying to. And I think that kind of in-depth research about the kind of qualities that we are trying to target, and then sort of modify, I won't say modifying, but structuring my narrative according to the, in order to fit the kind of qualities that I want to portray in myself, and match that according to what the school's preferences are. That process in itself, I feel, differentiated my applications from one degree to the other. And yes, we ended up working a lot on differentiating my essays from Princeton MPhil to the LBS MIM. But I think at the core of it, it's that research process that we did to understand the core values, and that really helped differentiate the essays.
Yeah. So you still remain a scientist with all that research that you've done, right? Perfect.
I'm a fan of the scientific approach. Let me just say that.
Absolutely makes sense. So, okay, one question that I have is, what would you say was, there's so many different parts of it. There's the, obviously we talked about the GRE preparation process, the B school research, and I have a feeling that you're going to pick this one. But then also working on the essays, and then finally the interviews, right? You had so many interviews at so many different schools. So, which part of the application process did you find most interesting, or did you enjoy the most?
I'd say I found it's gonna sound very shallow, but I'd say I found the essay writing part to be most interesting, because there is a sense of progress. Like when I send you, and when we talk over essays, and when we go from draft 1 to draft 2 to draft 3 to the sixth draft, by the sixth, seventh draft, the essay looks considerably like different, and considerably more refined than than how it did in the first draft, and there is a sense of progress. So I think that is a very rewarding thing for me.
Yeah.
So I'd say that is one reason why, and the second reason why is because those essays got me interviews. So that was a achievement as well. There's an achievement, as the sense of achievement as well, that is
Yeah.
associated with the good essays.
So,
So
I think you're still very rooted to your scientific roots. You're looking for that measurement and that measured approach where you get results finally. Absolutely makes sense. Totally understandable, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's gonna sound like it's. I'm sorry if it sounds a little shallow.
No, it's absolutely perfect. It's a very enjoyable process if you actually start
Yeah,
enjoying
yeah.
writing the essays, right? It's a very it's definitely one of my most interesting, most favorite parts of the application process when we work with our candidates, right? So it's so because the same experience, you can talk about the same experience, but then you write two different essays with the same experience, and they will be absolutely completely different with different narratives, right?
Right,
You
right.
bring out different qualities and trying to showcase different qualities that you have. So absolutely, it's a brilliant part of the application process. Makes a lot of sense. So one final question before we go into the next section of our interview is, finally that you're going to the LBS MIM, right? What makes you the most excited about LBS?
The community. I have been talking to so many people who have gotten their admits alongside me, like my peers from the MIM admits, and I've not only been talking to the MIM admits, but I've been also talking to some of the MBA admits and some of the like post experience masters in finance admits, who actually have considerable experience in the world of finance. uh, and it's just been eye-opening. I've learned so much in such a short time. I've come to understand what should I be looking at when it comes to careers perspective, or even when it comes to just socializing. What the kind of people that I'm meeting are. They're fun people who are like who not only want to study but also want to enjoy life. And by talking to them, by speaking to them, I am come to understand that I've become a part of a very closely knit community, and that is a very that feels really nice. So I feel that that's the biggest standout factor for me. That's something that excites me a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It perfectly makes sense. LBS is a brilliant school to have, and a brilliant community as well, right? So the next question that I have is basically a bit more self-centered towards us, where if you could tell us a bit about what really pushed you or what really motivated you or sort of like convinced you to work with us, and how did you really find working with us as management masters on your applications? And again, if you have any improvement points for us, I would really like to know, because that will help us improve further in terms of our services.
Sure. So I like to break this answer down into three parts. The first part is how I got, like, how I made the decision to work with management masters. So uh, I clearly remember my first conversation with you. I had gotten on the phone. I was talking to you about uh, the MBA, the MIM, and the kind of differences in both, and how where my career aspirations were leading me. And you had been very blunt about the fact that I was not probably very well aware of the kind of opportunities that existed after each degree. And it like, I am a person who appreciates, so I think this answer will be more personal, because I am a person who appreciates honest feedback. I feel like it is something that is very important for you to make right decisions. So I from the get-go, you were very honest with me, and you were very blunt about the kind of opportunities that I can have, or the kind of opportunities that I need to exploit in order to make the switch to the kind of career that I'm looking at. And I also remember that at that time I wasn't very clear on the kind of career that I wanted to have after graduating. And even on that front, you were very clear that I should probably go back and do a lot more research on the kind of progression that I can look at when I graduate from an MIM versus when I graduate from an MBA, and the kind of profile that is required from your experience. You said that from my experience, I understand the kind of profile that gets into a top MBA program versus the kind of profile that gets into a top MIM program. And all of that was very revelatory to me, and it was a bit humbling, because when you come in, you have a bloated sense of. I feel that I had a bloated sense of uh, like my I had a bloated sense about my profile, and I think that honesty really helped me understand where I wanted to go. So that was the first part. That's how I thought that, hey, maybe I really should work with you to get to get a little bit more clarity on the kind of applications that I want to submit, and the kind of goals that I want to target. Secondly, the application process. So right from the get-go, you were very structured. I think that's probably the USP, the ultimate selling point. You're an extremely structured person. You like to stick to deadlines, and you set deadlines in a very uh, with a lot of forbearance. That, hey, if a person is not able to do it in like 20 days, I'll give him 10 days extra. So we'll set a deadline which is 30 days in advance, right? So I think you're a very structured person, and that reflected in the application process that I followed. So much so that if the deadline for submitting the application was on 20th of September, say, I was done with the application process by 5th of September. Like, I was done with all the materials. I had everything that I needed to apply, and then I could just be a little relaxed about the whole process. I could go back and look at it for the 50th time and say, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Thank you so much for that. That's very kind of you. But that also brings me to another question, if you are willing to go into that. If I remember well, you had also applied to deferred MBA programs, right? And
Yes.
there has been quite a lot of sort of furor over the last few days regarding deferred MBA programs and MIM programs, and which is better for people to apply to. Should you only go for deferred MBA programs? Should you only apply to MIM programs? And sort of these experiences, right? So because you have experience of applying to both, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have applied to deferred MBA programs as well as you have applied to MIM programs. What would you suggest to aspirants who are, or maybe people who have just started researching a bit more about potential management programs that they could go for? So could you tell us a bit about that?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that it's you shouldn't apply to deferred MBA programs, but like deferred MBA programs are still. I feel that the structure is still a little disadvantageous because if you don't have the right kind of work experience right from the get-go, you will be at a slightly disadvantaged position in the cohort. Like the people that go to MBAs, and we've talked about that, and I've talked to the seniors that have actually gone for an MBA. They are coming from 4 to 5 years of work experience. They know, and they're much more clear about, and they have a lot of tangible industry skills. So you might land up in a little bit of a disadvantage if you're not very clear and if you don't land the right kind of a job right after college.
Also, just to thanks for bringing those points, but also there is this aspect of at the end of the day, how many seats are available in deferred MBA programs?
That's true.
If you look at international programs, there are probably like 10 top schools which offer deferred MBA admits, right, including Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Booth, Kellogg, Darden, and a few others. So you have maybe, let's say, 10 schools which offer deferred MBA admits. And how many Indian candidates would go or get selected in each of those programs? And that would hardly be like, let's say, if we are very, very positive, then probably 2 to 3 candidates per school. Right?
Yeah.
So basically, you have like 20-30 seats available as a deferred MBA candidate.
Right.
And that again is, if you're trying to get selected among those 20-30 people, obviously that would be great if you get it selected into Harvard or Stanford or what. It's a great feeling to have. It's absolutely a wonderful place to be in. But yeah, what realistically, what are your chances?
Yeah, that's true. That's also very true.
So and even for you, I think you had a brilliant profile when you were applying for deferred MBA programs as well, because your profile was not much different, right? And still you did not get selected. At the same time, if you go for a top class MIM program like HEC Paris or LBS or ESSEC or INSEAD also is open now, then obviously the seats are much more, the chances of getting through the program are much more. And then obviously, as you mentioned, if you want to go to it right after, it becomes much easier because you don't have to wait for 2 to 3 years and then go into a class where your profile is probably at a much more disadvantageous position compared to your cohort members. Now we move into the last aspect of our interview, and that's going to be a bit more fun and sort of a bit quicker because it's the rapid fire round, obviously, and then we are going to ask you very quickly 5 or 6 questions where we expect very short answers, one-liners or one words, and obviously let's get started with that, right? So let's start with the first rapid fire question. What is the biggest myth about MIM applications that you realized through the process?
That you need to have specific experiences to apply for an MIM.
Is taking GRE a disadvantageous thing compared to GMAT when you're applying for your MIM programs?
It doesn't matter. Both of schools are score agnostic now. So. But GRE is like it's 340 marks versus 800 marks for GMAT. So, take your pick.
Okay. What is the biggest challenge that you faced during your applications?
Time management.
What was your favorite essay? Your most favorite essay from all the applications that you've written?
Second essay that we wrote for London Business School, where we talked about how I could contribute as a admit.
What is the one club or event at LBS MIM that you're really, really looking forward to?
The Private Equity and Venture Capital Club. So they host a bunch of events across the year. But I'm looking forward to the Multiples X conference, which is like a global private equity conference where you get to meet a lot of people, a lot of industry stalwarts.
That's nice. And because you focus so much on B School research, and I think you excelled at that. So what was your favorite strategy while conducting this B-School research?
I use a note-taking app called Evernote. It was Evernote. It was a split screen setup. On one side, there was the school website. On the other side, there was Evernote with the table, with the different core values / qualities that we had talked about for a particular school. And then I just went about filling that table up. With Evernote, the best part is that you can file in all the schools in one particular tab. So I feel that is a good way to manage your data. So
Perfect. So when
again,
we publish this video, I think when we publish this video, I'm going to start asking for commission from Evernote. Thank you so much for that. It's been absolutely incredible having you, Shashwat. I wish you the best for LBS MIM, and I really wish you great success in your career.